Good morning. This is Dylan Jovine with Behind the Markets. Happy Friday. Today is Friday, March 28th, the last weekend of the month. Today, I want to talk about an article that I read, a very important article actually, in Wired, which is kind of the Silicon Valley magazine that covers the tech industry. Very, very close, finger on the pulse. I recommended reading. They've broken so many great stories. They really take you behind the scenes. And they published a story that I thought was important. Talks about a policy. Trump's aggression sours Europe on U.S. cloud giants. Companies in the EU are starting to look for ways to ditch Amazon, Google, and Microsoft cloud services amid fears of rising security risks from the U.S., but cutting ties won't be easy. So why is this an important piece? And why is this basically so important? A lot of people, when they think about, for example, our cost of defending Ukraine, $130 billion that we passed in bills that we've authorized, they say to ourselves, what does it cost us to defend NATO? They're always thinking of the investment side of the equation. And I blame our policymakers, both parties. They've never really articulated the return side of the equation. So we understand the investment. $130 billion to defend Ukraine over the past 4 years. We get it, even though most of that money was pushed into defense contractors basically to subsidize that, so created U.S. jobs. And then NATO, what does it cost us to defend NATO, and all these other things. But many people don't understand the return on that investment. I know occasionally I talk about this, but I figured this is a good time to talk about it right now. Remember something. All of our tech giants, just taking tech giants for example, sell their products all across Europe. Take the iPhone. The iPhone gets 30% of its sales, or $24 billion from Europe, Apple does. And Tesla got a lot of its sales from Europe. And you're seeing what's happening to Tesla now. A lot of the reason our tech industry is stitched into the fabric of Europe is because of the security umbrella that we provide to the Europeans. We say to them, look, in the event of a NATO conflict, you guys need to use secure networks that we understand. We can't let you have China's Huawei routers, for example, in Europe. So we really put pressure. We have put immense pressure on Europe to not take in alternate products from China, and their own tech industry, as a result of our solutions, has been very underinvested. But now they're starting to really look to reduce their dependence on the United States. So what you have is a situation now where Europe is really pushing their own companies to really get away. And this is already happening. They're trying to de-risk from America, and they're really trying to push their own companies to take contracts away from Amazon, Microsoft, Google, etc. And that's already starting to pick up. You've seen their article covers here. Cloud providers, European cloud providers have jumped up. New customers acquisition has jumped up in the past 2 weeks as Europe says, well, what do we do here? Now, that really has a dramatic effect. Remember, a third of Apple sales come from Europe. Now, if they really pushed their own industry, their own tech solutions, what would happen to Apple stock? I mean, basically a third of their stock, their sales come from Europe. So basically Apple would go down by a third. All the Magnificent Seven would go down by a third, just like what's happening with Tesla right now. They're watching the European sales collapse. So we talk about often the investment. Oh my God, it's $100 billion a year for NATO, or $150 billion a year to protect Europe, our NATO contribution. It's terrible. Oh my God, it's a terrible investment. What are those freeloading Europeans doing? Blah, 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 blah. Remember, you can't really judge it by looking at half. You have to look at the return side of the equation. And the return side of the equation tells you that Apple alone gets $24 billion a year from its European iPhone sales. Tesla, Amazon, you just go down the line, hundreds of billions of dollars come from selling tech products into Europe. Make no mistake about this, which means if Europe got more independent in the tech area, what does that mean to your retirement account? If all the Mag 7 stocks, if the tech sector dropped 30-40%, what do you think that means actually to your IRA, your 401k, your retirement plans? They go up in smoke. So it's is easy. A lot of people are going to come to you. A lot of friends go, well, we got it. Those are freeloading Europeans. Got to get rid of them. Got to get out of that system. We can't cover it anymore. It's $150 billion a year in cost, direct and indirect cost to supply NATO, to support NATO, to support these European freeloaders. And people who look at it that way don't understand international finance. They haven't really looked at who the Magnificent Seven, for example, sell their products to. Again, Europe is under our security umbrella, which means they have to be under our tech umbrella. And that is the argument that we have made for many, many years. So when we say pull out of Europe, pull out of NATO, what you're really saying, that's the cause. The effect of that would be a decline of 30% plus of your retirement account. Just again, look at Tesla. Look how the stock has dropped, 50%, 40% in the past few months as the European sales have plummeted. Imagine that happening across the entire Magnificent Seven. So be wary about the rush to leave those freeloaders. Be wary about people who tell you, oh, we should be isolationist, America first, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because guess what? Power abhors a vacuum. We would leave, and you know what? Europe's own companies would fill the vacuum, get more powerful, or you know what? China companies would. So someone's going to get that money. It's the way the system is structured. It may as well be us. Anyway, those are the thoughts I wanted to leave you with for this weekend. Have a wonderful weekend, and I hope you consider what I've just said to you.